1.5%. That would bring the dues up to $1,335. The amenities committee is probably happy about that, but even happier yet, that in 5 years' time, if we only use the 12.5% increase, by 2029, we'll be paying as a CCA dues for each household $2,135. I say this because I want people to understand what the money is coming to. What are we doing with the money? Well, we've committed $668,000 to help the manager and his LLC run the amenities. That's been committed in our budget. I don't know what has been committed by the LLC. I've not seen any figures on that, so I assume that the commitment is going to be just the revenues that come in from our investment into the amenities. Another issue that seemed to pass by us, we were asked by one of the presidents to consider putting a fence around a nice piece of pasture land out beyond the driving range. That I think cost about $9,000, and that was done. Now I understand that land that's enclosed by this new fencing is being used to rent out space to someone with high-grade cattle. And the money for that goes to our manager for his bank account. I don't, if that's true, maybe it'll be cleared up today. I don't know how that could be, that the manager would be getting that money. And I want to back up what a member of my community, Mark just said, and that is that he offered in the beginning to do the videotaping and putting on the internet our meetings, and they thought that that would be a costly item, and it was turned down. So then he came back with another offer saying that the Meadows would pay for the equipment and provide a person to do it, and probably would be Mark. And that was turned down because they said maybe, I'm done, maybe there wouldn't be enough skill available.
Thank you. Next on the list is David Muckway.
Yeah, I'm David Muckway, and I live in Oak Grove. I just want to talk a second about, there's so much on Cypress Wood, uncensored, and, this one says that, this one says that. We're talking about this audit. I think it's very important that we do an audit. We didn't do anything when this deal was put together for the 50 years. It'd be nice to look at the first 6 years, what's going on. Because there seems to be a lot of things going along, that this person's getting that, and this person's getting this, getting paid for this. We don't know, but there are different people that are talking that know some of this stuff and have told other people. So it'd be nice to clear up this for, if there's nothing there, there's nothing to hide. The other thing I don't understand, the LLC, if you get into lawsuit, they're looking for, I guess, homeowners to pay for that. I don't know why they should pay for that themselves. We shouldn't have to pay for that. It seems like we pay for everything, no matter what it is. There's a difference to refurbishing something or keeping up with something than just keep adding, because we don't own it. We don't own it. John Wood owns it. So, he might decide after this thing is, I want to sell it, and, we're still responsible for those other loans. But I don't think the board really, the 14 people that voted for this thing for 50 years, because there was other things there, it was for 25 years and stuff like that. Why you took 50 years and things like that and borrowed this money? First it was 1 million, then it got to be 2 million, but there's a lot of money that we're paying out to service these loans. And I just think, I've been in that business since 1961. I got over 50 years in it. And I've done engineering, construction, project manager, worked for Cat Finance for my last 8 years. And you don't do business like we're doing here. And anybody that tells you it is the way of doing business, it's not. So, thank you.
Thank you. Traffic control, Rick Reese is under the weather and not gonna make a report. If anybody has anything, they can relay it to their president, they can relay it to me, and I'll relay it to Rick. Next one is road and drainage, Mr. Bill Shire. Bill.
Road and drainage, the only thing that I want to bring to the presidents is that we're pretty sure that this year we're going to have some major road resurfacing projects. So if your community is one that thinks that you need it or feels you need it, I need you to let me know so we can make that part of the process. Currently, Greenfield is part of it, Plantations will be part of it, and I believe that Oak Grove may be looking into it. I've talked to Jim Pratt about that. With regard to that and to the rest of you, if you have any needs in that area, please reach out to me so we can look at the process. That's all I have. Do you have anything? Yes?
Several meetings ago, we said that we were contacting the city of Winter Haven with regards to the exposed sewer thing.
Oh, yeah, update on that?
Which falls in my community.
Yeah.
And if I recollect, we were calling them 2-3 times a week. Who was the contact person? So I, as a president, and maybe some of my constituents can just start calling and calling and calling, because this has gone on way too long.
Okay, we have some current information on it.
I know it's not our problem, but
No.
if Mark knows who I should call,
Yeah, we met with him a couple of weeks ago, and
who is him, is what I
The city of
know.
Winter Haven has a couple of individuals that are in charge of this project. They just assigned a lady to it recently,
And the lady's name is,
and I'll give you the information, okay, and the phone number,
okay,
okay? And they're supposed to start within the next week. They've already assigned a contractor, gotten all the authorizations.
an outside contractor from the city.
An outside contractor from the
Yeah,
city.
if you could give me names and.
Well,
better yet,
let me
numbers.
just share this information, and then I'll get, I
Yeah.
can talk to you privately and give you the additional information. It's gonna take 6 months in order to do this. Right, they originally estimated 4 months, it's gonna be 6 months. And, they will at some time have to close the road. They're only gonna do that at night, late at night. And then it'll be open again in the morning.
And the road would be going into like Jason Hollis' neighborhood or the main drag?
No, it's Clubhouse Road itself is where they're gonna do all the work. And it's gonna go, as you come, west on Clubhouse Road.
Right.
On the right-hand side, there's a manhole with a pump in it, okay? From that
It
point,
smells great.
all the way to the corner up here,
Right.
they're gonna replace the entire pipe.
All right, Mark.
Okay, and across the street, they're gonna put in a manhole and tie into that pump station that's right on the corner there.
Okay. Who did you initially speak to with regards to this? From the city of Winter Haven? Because I know it's not our problem, it's theirs,
Yeah,
but,
well, I spoke, there's 2 individuals, and I'll give you the name, Travis and Pedro. And they're the ones responsible.
very good, thanks, Mark.
Anything else for road and drainage? Oh, Mr. Bradley?
Yep,
Did you talk to Mark about
I did.
the problem?
I did.
Okay. You wanna let me know about it?
I will, and we'll need to meet with, both, Mike Bazinski and Dave, because they were given the instructions on what to do. And Mark and I would be happy to, I'd like to be out on site with you when we do that,
Okay.
okay?
What, I didn't understand why Mike is involved in Davis. Why are they involved?
They were given the instructions on what to get done. No, I should have passed it to you, but we could go over it again.
I talked to David today about it, and he didn't know anything about it.
Am I right or wrong? Oh, at, down where the lift station is in Cypress Pond,
Yes, uh-huh.
didn't you meet with Mike and,
I did.
and,
I did after the, after the storm last year, we also had the pipe check from that pond behind Cypress Pond over to the pond in Plantation Way. And, we had the contractor TV it and flush it out, and there was no obstruction in it. Now, that drainage inlet there at the end of the street, clogs all the time. And I talked to Mike about having the trees and what have you, because there's so much vegetation back in that corner, those trees have to come down, because we went down there and looked at it, and there was probably a foot of water, or 8 inches of water anyway, standing in the road. But if you went over and cleared off the drainage inlet, top, then the water disappeared. So those trees and everything have to be cut back.
Well, okay, that's fine, I know that, and I've been going down there cleaning it out. But the leaves that are coming in there and blocking that are not the ones that are back there. It's the big oak tree on the corner of Cypress, or Silverado, that little corner there. That's where the leaves are coming from.
From an oak tree that is on National Association property, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, we can take a look at it. Mike did not point that out to me, but we'll do
Well,
that.
but anyway,
Because there's tons of vegetation right around it there.
yeah, I think the problem is not the leaves and or anything else, you just need to put a different drain in there. What I did, I took 2 blocks of wood, about 1.5 inches high, and put them under the front side of it, and everything flows good.
Well, what happens though is when you wash all the leaves down into the pipe, it clogs.
Well, they're going in there
So
anyway.
initially, that works great. They call that a throated inlet. And the throated inlet works great until all the leaves get washed down in there, especially under slow rains. Now, if it's a heavy rain, like a storm or something, it pushes that vegetation through, but we've had cases where we had to pull out 10 feet of vegetation from a pipe because it's so clogged. So there has its advantages and disadvantages.
When are you going to get a hold of us?
Pardon me?
When are we going to get this resolved?
Well, the first thing is that we need to see, if you're saying that the vegetation is coming from the oak trees, that's the first time I've heard that. I went and looked at the vegetation around it with Mike Brzezinski, and where the water was, and you could see all the vegetation. He asked me, do you think we could trim these? I said, well, I don't see why not.
They were.
Because there's a city pump station there as well.
Yeah,
There's
right.
a city sewer pump station there next to that, pretty close to that area. And I said, I don't think they'll have any objection to you go ahead and trim this vegetation there.
Well, it's been trimmed.
Pardon me?
It's been trimmed,
Oh, I didn't know.
but it didn't do any good because of the leaves coming
Well, I
down.
will come down and look at it again.
Okay, when do you want to do that?
Why don't we do it this week?
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Anything else for road and drainage?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Showers. And next slide, please. We need to make it over to your second job. That's you. Yeah.
Wait. Hurry up, Bill.
Yeah, sit down, relax. Landscape Committee, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Bob. We are in the winter mode for care of the boulevard. The crepe myrtles are being pruned back. The ornamental grasses are going to be cut down. The turf is only maintained every 2 weeks now, just because it's not really as a growth issue as much as we just want to keep it clean and looking good so that it looks groomed. And that's going to continue on through about the middle of March, and they'll switch back into the every week program. But right now, the grooming is only every 2 weeks on the turf, but everything else is as Prime Care can come in and work on that. And they do it on different days based upon their schedule. And we had a tree trimming back in, it was back right around the holidays, around Christmas, and so we did the canopy on the boulevard. We also cleared away some of the branches that were blocking light from the street lights, so we have better visibility with that. And right now, that's where we are, and is there any questions? Yes, sir.
Fred, I don't know if it's your domain or Cypress Golf Management, but when I come in and look at the bathroom to the right, there's all kinds of debris on the roof of that building. It's been there as long as I
That's,
know.
yeah, that would be.
It
a
could be
problem.
just, use a blower and blow it off, but it looks.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a refurbishment on that bathroom right now. So Otha's working on that right now. He's doing the inside, he's gonna do the roof part as well. So, but that should be done in the next few weeks.
All right, and the other bathroom coming out of the plantations is a lovely piece of plywood set inside, and
Right,
just
after
as
one of our residents broke in, so that was a temporary fix. We're gonna have to rebuild that whole.
temporary is 6-7 months, anyway.
It was
When
three.
we're
It's been
talking about
three.
bathrooms, which is not my forte, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, that doesn't fall under landscaping though, but thanks for bringing it up. Any other questions? Thank you, appreciate it, Bob.
All right, next slide, please. Go another one. I'll do this part, obviously, the golf course report, rounds of golf for 12/31, 23 had 47,008 rounds, 2022, 41,960. Continues on a good trend. Revenue in 23 was 1.825 million as opposed to 1.64. Expenses were 1.374 as opposed to 1.313. So very good 23. It should prove to, once the account gets done wrangling, a return of some of this funds back to the CCA in the assessment. So that's a good thing. Any questions, sir? Oh, yes.
Now, how come in 2023, the total revenue is less than 2022, when the rounds have increased?
It isn't, Tony. Tony, it's 1.8 and it's 1.6. It's 200, almost
It
200,000.
looked like an 8 to me. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's fuzzy up there on the screen. Any question? Okay, next slide. Course notes from the contractor, weekly spraying of greens, approaches, and tees. Number 8, fairway revitalization, aerification every 90 days, fertilization, double application each month, and herbicide pre and post application to combat the weed populations. And we are exploring cart path options in many forms. There's several people working several angles to try to come to some sort of a consensus on what to do there. So hopefully we'll have some sort of a viable option in the future. Any questions? There? Fantastic. Next slide, please. Kevin's not here. He's ill, so he will not be making. Scott will be doing that portion of it, I believe, the financial portion of it. Next slide, please. And here we go. This is actually.
That's right.
Is that right? Okay.
Hi. This is the November report for the amenities spend. And in the center, you see the amount that needs to be approved by the board of $52,974.17. I would like to call out 2 points. One, the month of November is when we get an annual audit on our property insurance. And so we were assessed $6,280.29. It's a truing up mechanism that happens with the coverage package, and it's happened pretty much every year. It's kind of difficult to predict what that rate will be. It's based off of revenue and also whatever rates the insurance company and provider or carrier is going to hit us with. So you'll see a $11,909 on the insurance line. The other thing to call out on property taxes, we had budgeted $8,000, we were taxed $11,655. The reason for that is because it's a good thing and a bad thing. The tax collector's office had been missing the fire service fee charge that should have been on our tax bill every year. So since we base our budget on a prior year budget, historically it's been about $7,500. Yeah, we got jumped to 11,655, and it'll be that, around that number again this year and next year, and we didn't even budget for it for this year, but so we just want to be aware of that. But I want to call those two things out, so they are the only things that show up here that are out of the ordinary. And if there are not any questions, you will need to ask for a motion to approve, please.
Okay, we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Chuck Sandhill has made the motion. Is there a second? Mr. McCullough has made the second. Is there any discussion? Yes.
I'd like to know how much we charge the tennis players.
The tennis members,
Well, whatever.
the residents get, that is part of their resident package. If they have the card, it's free for the residents.
Okay, but don't we charge outsiders to come in and play?
Sure, if they're an outside member, the block of members that belongs to our tennis professional, which I believe there are 12 of them, pay, if they're a family, it's $40 a month. If it's individual, it's $26 a month. And guests residents pay $6 per person per day, as they do for every amenity.
Okay. Well, I was wondering because there was, on one of the financial reports, I saw there was $700+ for lights for the tennis courts. And I was wondering why that would be, if we have that little bit of revenue from it.
Well, there's not a little bit, I mean, there's enough revenue to cover the lights, but I'll check into that on you. I did not see that, I'll make a note of that. Thank you.
That's on the.
That may not be the tennis, is that the clubhouse lights?
It says tennis courts, lights.
Yeah, that's probably the meter that connects to the pool in tennis. It's probably electricity that has to do with the pool, but I'll check, I can get back to you.
Okay.
I think it gets that name so they know how to identify
Where
which
the location,
location it is.
some of them are tricky.
You don't want to read it.
Yeah. Anything else? Yes, Mr. Murphy?
We had a nice workshop put in, on by Kevin, and Scott helped me to put you on the spot, but after it was over, he said the next morning you would receive a copy of that presentation, but that's not happening. I think it was the White Knight presentation.
Yeah,
He never sent it out.
No, I know, and I brought it to his attention this morning, and he said he'll have it out within 24 hours.
Okay.
So hopefully by this time tomorrow you have it in your hands.
Pardon me?
The slide
The whole thing,
presentation,
he
yeah.
said he sent us everything.
Yeah, he'll send the slide presentation, he said within 24 hours. Anything else? Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Club Patio,
Agree.
Cypress Pond,
Agreed.
Eagle Pond,
Yes.
Enclave,
Yes.
Fairway Patio,
Yes.
Garden Patio,
Yes.
Golf Villas,
Yes.
Greenfield Village,
Yes.
Oak Grove,
No.
Palmacia,
Yes.
Plantations,
Yes.
Sand Hill Lane,
Yes.
and Villas on the Green.
No.
It passes 11-2. Thank you. Next slide, please.
All right,
Survivor, Scott Schauer.
all right, it's me. Let's go to the next slide. Before you do, wait a minute. Well, it's fine. This next slide was not sent to you because the data on it is off of the preliminary financial statement for December. And I don't want to send it out until we get the final back after the accountant's review and the closing entries are done. So I was not going to share it, but I want to share it because I want to call out a couple of things that you then, when you receive the data, will know what to look for. And I don't know how much it'll change. I checked last year's reporting, and there were some amounts that changed to the tune of around $5,000. So we'll end up with some adjustments off the data I'll show right now. But it's the end of January, and the next time we meet is going to be near the end of March, and I'd rather be talking about 2024 then and not 2023 in as much as we need to, we will. But for that said, sir, if you will, thank you, William. Okay,
This is the budget summary overview. This basically summaries what our budget was in the first column, what we spent in the second column, and what our variance is in the third column. And we'll start with the operational section up here. In the landscape area, you'll see I have a code out there on an A. There's a variance of $792, that's over the budget. If you read down at the bottom, the landscape budget, this number includes the $16,400 for the front fence clearing, which the board approved to be spent and to be funded by the general reserves out of the 2024 budget. We just got a head start on doing the fence work, which was on one of our list items in our 2024 budget under reserves. So interestingly, obviously, from an accounting perspective, it has to be accounted for in 2023. It's on this report. However, landscape, Fred, nice job. You came in about $16,000 under budget, and tree trimming was under budget, which is what we considered the front fence clearing to be. So we have the option, the board has the option, to let that $16,400 for the fence clearing sit over in the 2023 budget, or you can say that in this year we've, spent the $16,000 that we initially determined. Don't worry about it now, because whatever we do this year, whatever we spend, don't get spent until you've been presented with it and the board approves it. I just want you to be aware of it. Ironically, any variance in the operational budget falls to the unrestricted reserves fund. And if we take it from general reserves, that's like apples and apples. It's not even apples and oranges, because unrestricted reserves is as available to this community as general reserves are. That's the first point. The third line in operational general admin, I just want to point out that we paid $5,000 in legal fees for legal counsel to represent the CCA against the lawsuit brought by the Meadows HOA, and that was paid for, and it'll be in the 2023 budget under G&A, and you'll see we're about $8,000 over. So the other $3,000 we're over there is in utilities, which were so much higher this past year than we anticipated. Okay, any questions on that? Good to go. Stop me if you have a question. Fourth line, drainage. We're over by $2,617. We did 2022 projects in 2023. So we should look at taking the $2,600 out of our drainage reserves, moving it over to drainage road repair and maintenance, that category, so we can balance the year and use the funds which they were intended to be used for that. Do we need to have a motion for that?
Sure.
Okay. So I would recommend that we make a motion if the board so chooses.
Tell them what you do.
Yeah, go to the next slide, Bill. Sorry, thank you. Drainage reserves has $30,999 in it. That is a carryover from 2022. We couldn't do projects in 22 because of Ian, and it shut us down in the fourth quarter when we were going to spend some of that money, most of that money. So we moved it into a reserve fund, knowing we were going to do the projects in 23, which we did. So I'd like to move the $2,600 out of the drainage reserves and put it over in our 23 budget. What will ultimately happen is it'll affect unrestricted reserves, which is not designated for anything, so I'd like to see that happen. So I am suggesting that a motion be made to approve moving $2,617 from drainage reserves to drainage repair and maintenance in 2023.
Can you go back a slide?
Yes.
Okay. So is there any reason the 5,000 that you did for the attorney thing, for the general admin, is there any reason that doesn't come out of a reserve?
What'll happen is you'll see we're 10,000 over.
Yeah,
When we pull the 26, it will be down 8,000 over. That comes out of unrestricted reserves.
okay,
Unrestricted reserves and general reserves have no designation to them, so they're kind of the same. No reason to move that one. Good question, though, thank you. Yeah.
That's for a gold star.
Yeah, she looked at it, goes, thank you, we need to.
Any other questions?
How about a motion?
Okay, we need a motion to accept Scott's recommend. Okay, Mr. Murphy from Club Patio has made that recommendation. We have a second. Debbie from Enclave. Okay, roll call.
Club Patio,
Yes.
Cypress Pond.
you said,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't hear you either.
Eagle Pond,
Yes.
Enclave,
yes,
Fairway Patio,
Yes.
Garden Patio,
yes,
Golf Villas,
Yes.
Greenfield Village,
Yes.
Oak Grove,
yes,
Palmacia,
yes,
Plantations,
Yes.
Sand Hill Lane,
Yes.
Villas on the Green.
yes.
Thank you, passes 13-0.
Thank you, we needed that because we haven't closed the year out, so. Let's see, the rest of it is as is. Dropping down to the amenities category, we've got some pluses and minuses. Maintenance repairs a little bit over, pool maintenance is under, debt servicing was under. P&L insurance, 25,000, way over, except there's $14,932 of that was budgeted for 24 that we paid in 23. So at the end of the day, when you see the property taxes, which I mentioned before, and then utilities being high, at the end of the day, it shows 37,400 over budget, which will get offset by 14, which makes it about 22,000 over budget. Here's what happens. When the club operator pays an assessment, that assessment money will go against that overage and they'll offset. So for example, if you were to pay an assessment of 50,000 toward into the CCA, it would be offset by the 37,000 and we'd end up with a $13,000 reserve fund. So whatever that amount is, it'll be adjusted by that. You will see that when this gets sent to you, you'll see the true numbers, assuming we get everything by March 1st. February's a leap month, so we get an extra day. Maybe it'd be February 29th. Okay. Any questions? Great. Next slide. This is how our reserve accounts ended the year. The only, I believe the reserve interest actually is trued up. We did good. We had about $7,000 of interest we picked up last year. Hopefully we get more this year. We have our money in good instruments making some interest, so we like that. Unrestricted reserves, that accounts for, that is adjusted with what the previous slide showed is about a $10,000 variance. So when you get this from me in a month or so, that number will change again to whatever our new unrestricted reserves will be. Unrestricted reserves get set after year end, and then they're left alone all year. Nothing happens to them, we don't contribute to them, we really don't take from them until we settle up at the end of the year and we weigh out our true spending against our budget or our spending plan, and then even everything up.
What's the idea for the money, the reserve interest earned? Give me an idea of what would we use that for?
Well, it's undesignated, and so it gets treated, really, all three of these get treated the same way. It's the community's money for a what if. Whether that's to fix something or to repair something.
Or any board-directed activity?
Any board.
I'm done. Okay, next slide, please. Legal Committee, Mr. Ben Tucker. Next slide, please, Bill.
I'm here for one purpose, and that is to set a date for a special closed board meeting to discuss the settlement letter from the Meadows attorney. Suggested date right now is February 6th.
I have a question for you. Why is it closed? Why aren't the residents able to participate in something that's going against them?
It is a business meeting that the board needs to have in private.
It's a legal meeting.
It's a legal meeting.
It's a legal meeting. And it's an executive meeting to discuss legal issues. It has to be done behind closed doors.
It has to be.
Has to be.
That's per the Articles of Corporation?
No, that's per common sense.
I didn't ask you, I'm saying.
Yeah, yes. That's what he said. You can't discuss legal matters in open forum.
Okay,
Has to be done with the people who are responsible for the business of the association.
okay.
Will legal counsel?
Our legal counsel will be in attendance, yes.
Just that guy.
Yes, he'll be here. That's one of the dates that he's available. That's why I selected him.
Okay, I just.
Yeah, no, I was making sure.
And
6 p.m.?
Yes.
Yes, 6 p.m. if we're all agreed.
And will, the negotiating committee also be presenting at the same time?
Sure,
Your president.
hopefully.
You are president.
If you have something to present, that would be the place to do
I
it.
mean, either that or
Well,
we can do
the
it tonight as
settlement
planned.
committee is myself, Janet, and Lisa. And we put some time and effort into this. And,
So that would be the place for you to make your presentation.
okay, great. And all presidents and vice presidents?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
So can I have a motion? You'd like to make that motion? Debbie, make that motion. Second is Mr. Mullen. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Is there any more business for the board to bring upon itself? I need a motion to adjourn if we don't have it. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot. Sorry, Chuck. Sorry, Chuck, you're on. I apologize.
I do have 3 bricks I can throw.
Bob, did you table something? We were gonna discuss it later and stuff?
We'll table it to a different meeting. Not this meeting, to the next board meeting.
Oh.
We'll do the minutes. Sorry, Chuck, I apologize.
Is Bill away? Next slide. Another one?
He's only got all the slides.
Quick update, Steve here? Steve Hildman? Oh, didn't see you there. Use the microphone, please. Quick update, I know I'm the only thing standing between you and adjournment. So, next slide. I want to give you a quick update on the community survey.
Use the mic.
Is this better? I'm sorry about that. This is the results of the survey that we did. I asked them if they're a veteran. 1 out of 3 said yes. Asked them if they would like to see a Veterans Memorial. 2 out of 3 said yes. Would you be willing to participate? 17 out of 72 said yes. And would you be willing to contribute financially? 51 to 39. Next slide. These are very preliminary designs. I used them only to be able to get to some estimates and find some sources. I'll be forming a committee within the next couple weeks of those 17 people, and we'll go through designs for that. But these are different options. These can also be gray granite, red granite, or black granite. I was avoiding red and black because the quality, if they're not real granite, if they're
If they come from China, for example, and they use dye to make it look darker, they'll tend to fade. So, but I'm told there's real good black granite. We'll look at the cost of that. Next slide. This is the proposed location, thanks to John Wood and Bob, somewhere behind the clubhouse. We don't know yet which way we want to face it. Originally, we thought we'd face it towards the golf cart path. But some of us said, why? If we have a ceremony and the people are standing here, and then maybe we should make it face that. Or I said, well, what the heck? Just turn it sideways, 45-degree angle, we make everybody happy. But we don't know yet. But the idea still will be that we'll have a brick patio path, the stone, and then a 25-foot collapsible flagpole behind it. Next slide. This is the old presentation, you know, this is not the updated one. If you get your cameras out and take a picture of that QR code, you can go to the website. I set up a GoFundMe site. I'm also working on a source for the bricks so that you can buy a brick. And we're looking at 3 sizes, the 4x8, 8x8, and 12x12. Those are 3 samples that I got. All 3 of them, well, 2 of them seem to be laser cut, and when you laser cut them, you basically get a glass base in the bottom of the letter, and so it lasts forever. If it's sandblasted, like I think these are sandblasted and painted, it won't last as long. So we're going to make decisions about that in the committee. And about the colors, do we want to match the color of the deck, you know, the parking, the golf cart parking lot, or does it matter? The committee will make some decisions about that. And we'll work with John and Bob on that kind of stuff. Next slide. Oh, there it is. It's out of order. Interesting. Anyway, I did set up a GoFundMe, so if you're not going to buy a brick, if you know you're not going to buy a brick, and you want to donate to the cause, we'll have other marketing come out about it. But I have a GoFundMe site set up. Next slide. I talked about the bricks. Next slide. We'll also do paper forms. These are 2 examples. All of the brick companies that I've talked to, they set up websites to do this, and they also provide paper forms for people that are not online to go ahead and order the brick. 2 of them also offer picture the brick, but in about business card size, right, Steve? You know about this. And actually, I didn't bring it with me, but so it'll be a miniature brick about 1/2 inch thick that you could set on your desk as a paperweight too, or you can give it to someone. It's pretty cool. So next slide. So here's the next steps. I know John's on board. We'll form the Veterans Committee. I'm already starting just a warm raising funds. We'll finalize the design, location, secure the costs, and go for it. And that's it. Any questions?
How much?
How much? I'm targeting less than 25,000. That's what I'm shooting.
Each.
Oh, the bricks? We haven't set a price yet, but it's probably going to be about. Yeah, 25,000. You give me 25. I'll tell you what. You give me 25,000 for a brick, and I'll write you a check for 20,000. How's that? That's a good deal. Come on, you're not going to get that deal. It's a driveway deal. Literally. The bricks, we haven't set a price, but most of the ones I've seen are around $100. And the bricks will cost us probably about 20. And most of the brick companies, what they do is they batch them up. So if you order 30 bricks, they'll ship them for free, so I don't have to worry about shipping. So we'll deal with that, and I'm hoping to get a good 6 or 8 people on the committee to help with that. So, any other questions?
Do you have a target date?
Memorial Day. We want to dedicate it. If we get it up far enough in advance, we'll have a dedication ceremony, and then we'll do a Memorial Day ceremony. If I don't, then I'm thinking we'll dedicate it and do it on Memorial Day. So that's the target.
Thank you, Chuck. Next slide.
Oh, if you want to buy a brick tonight, it's not your name on it, but I'll sell it to
Next slide, please. I'm going to snap that. All right, now we have, anybody want to make that motion?
Can I ask?
Oh, sure.
Can we circle back to the or the topic of the videoing of the meeting?
Sure.
So I don't remember when those got turned down. I don't even know if that's true. So was that talked about in the amenities meeting, or was that we talked about?
The Savaris group provided that free of charge, and they volunteered to do it, and then they decided not to do it anymore, essentially. So, Mark tried, he brought it to the amenities committee, and they discussed it. And my understanding of the meeting was that Kevin said he's gonna get back with you to do a trial. Because there's some question on,
Right.
you were gonna have to, you can't record it and then replay it back, you have to live stream it.
Right.
Because of the YouTube, so, there's some details that need to be worked out, and I'll remind Kevin about that to follow through on that, to see, because he wants to do it with his phone and go around, not to have dedicated, at least that's what the plan was the
Right.
last meeting.
Right.
Correct, okay.
Okay.
But there's nothing stopping homeowners from recording in an open meeting.
Well, I've asked our attorney to provide guidance on that, because we are not a 720, we're a 617, and that would, eventually, whatever his guidance is, we'll go by, and then the board can make a decision from there, if they want to record it or not. Because it's not an open meeting, it's a closed meeting for this board.
So
That we allow the residents to watch, it's for the residents, the general public isn't invited, is my point, so it's not an open meeting. Of course, but again, we're waiting, I'd asked him this earlier today, he's gonna provide guidance, and we'll share that with the board. That was his initial blush.
What do you need to do a test, Mark?
Nothing.
You need a
Just-
tripod maybe to set over that corner so it faces the whole board, or are you gonna face the?
He's got a phone that he's gonna record
Right.
the action and things, so.
And we'd pick either a spot here or on this side, depending, so that we could at least see the board and, hear comments and things like that. So it'd be fairly simple.
I thought we left it in the amenities committee that.
Yeah, and we'll, in the committee, we left it for a test. That's right, that was my recollection as well. I'll follow up with Kevin, thank you, Mark.
So once we figure out,
Excuse me, Bob. The Meadows offered to do it for free, to answer Lisa's question. I don't think we're gonna get back to her to let her ask it again. The Meadows and Mark offered to do it free.
Sure.
Supply the
Mark agreed, yes, we know that, John.
free, just so she knows that. And I don't think the board was ever asked to vote on it. For some reason, after it became free, it kind of froze.
I'm not sure why the amenities chair didn't bring it up at a meeting, I will follow up with that.
that's what I was gonna say. So, once you talk to Kevin and they figure out a plan, they're gonna come back and.
Yeah, you'll have to approve whatever the plan is, and as long as it's, as long as with the legal guidance from our attorney.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering why the resident comments are not in the minutes.
I don't know, I think the minutes are supposed to reflect the actions of the board. I think that's not the catcalls from or any other comments that we're making, like this commentary that I'm making now. It's just the actions of the board.
What's the difference between when we did it before and now?
What do you mean?
Well, you said through the guidance of the attorney and then what they figure out.
I think that the before it was because of COVID and because,
No, I
every,
meant for us to do it. What was the difference when we did it before with his group opposed to now with this group? Because it seems like we have to have his guidance on it. Because
well, if you want to make a motion to record the meetings, as long as it's legally to do it, you can make that motion to see if it gets support from the board. I mean, but I think frankly, I'm not sure that live streaming from an iPhone to a static internet is going to be very stable. I think you're going to have a very, very difficult time doing it. I don't think it's going to be that simple, but I could be wrong. I'm not Steven Spielberg. So, I mean, you know, again, we were gonna do a test, and that's how I remember it left in committee, that he was gonna tape either one of the amenities meetings or one of these meetings, just to test it to see if he could directly link it to YouTube, so it's live streaming.
That's good. I agree with that.
So do you think it should be done, in your opinion, should be done in a committee meeting or should it be done live here?
I would say as long as it's in this building, whether it's our committee or the other committee, and for the test, I don't care. Because that's where the Wi-Fi is gonna be, that's gonna be where it's gonna.
Yeah, that's a good question. Where's the Wi-Fi in this building gonna be at any given moment? It's a good question.
So I'm okay with testing.
Okay.
But I was wondering, because you said, well, as long as he, as long as he says we can, then I thought, well, we did it before, so I didn't know.
I think it was out of COVID. I think it was because everybody was doing it, so we decided to do it, if I remember right. Stephen Potter?
This has been brought up to our legal counsel, correct?
Yes.
It's been put before them, so our counsel's gonna get back with us?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, we're adjourned. See you in March.
That was quick.